I think you're asking the wrong question. It's not what happens next, it's how did we get here? Because if you don't know where you're going, it's usually because you don't understand where you've been. Hello, fiction babes and storytellers. Welcome to another episode of Habits of a Writer, the podcast where we talk about the good habits that lead to a finished manuscript. I'm your host, Portia Levette, novelist, indie author of two published novels, and currently working on the third draft for book three. It's easy to look at your manuscript and just toss the whole thing out and start from scratch. But hold up. Before you confirm you want to delete that document, let's slow down and talk about what's really happening. This week, we're going to pull the lens back again to get a full picture. We are going to look at what you already wrote to understand the direction your story is naturally taking. This is reverse plotting. So far, we've reread our manuscript without judgment, asked the right questions, made notes where the story is hesitating, and now we decide if we're going in the correct direction towards the ending. We aren't forcing the outline or scrapping everything. We're connecting it all together. As creatives, we follow inspiration. An idea comes, we write it down, we build on it, we keep going. But inspiration without structure is how a story starts to fall apart. This reminds me of a Substack post I was reading the other day about writing down ideas so you don't forget them. Someone in the comment section mentioned that Michael Jackson would take action on an idea out of fear that if he didn't, it would float over to Prince. As writers, our process is pretty much the same way: idea, write. But just like a musician's lyrics and music notes need structure and purpose, so do our scenes. You didn't lose the direction, it just never stopped to define it. So let's stop writing for a moment and observe our story. We don't need another scene. We don't need to know where on the map we are. Let's study our story and get a clear understanding of what's happening. It's time to find the gap, and to do that, we need to ask, what does direction actually look like in a story? Let's look at something familiar. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy has one goal. She wants to go home. But there are lessons she needs to learn along the way before she can achieve that goal. Even after a brief moment of considering staying in Oz with her new friends, she is met with one more reason that puts her back on her path. What each encounter in Dorothy's walk down the yellow brick road does is serve a purpose. Observe your scenes. Are they moving the story forward, slowing it down, or taking it in the opposite direction? Where should your story be leading to? With the protagonist's goal in mind, the journey shouldn't just be everyday living. That's why the best stories are written in beats. One by one, each act progresses towards the ending. Your ending gives your middle direction. So let me ask, have you sat down and thought about how the story ends? That's something I had to face in my own story. I never plotted, so there was no ending. Instead, the plan was to write my way to the end. I know a war is coming. That's the theme, a fight for planet Earth from the ones whose system was here first. But looking at my scenes, I'm not building towards that event. Actually, I've been circling around it. I'm 70 pages in, and not only is there no war, but the military still has not been introduced. No explanation of why the kids are preparing to fight, and the adults are clueless. And the Trimeritans keep saying only the leader knows the day they fight. But don't even know who the leader is. Those are my plot holes. But the good news is those are fixable. And here's the part we don't want to hear. This moment doesn't require more ideas, more scenes, or more writing. Direction comes from clarity, decision, and intention. And honestly, this doesn't just show up in our writing, it shows up everywhere we've lost direction. The middle of the story only feels stuck. You just need to know what direction you're going. This week's habit: reverse plot your story. Ask, What has actually happened so far? What decision has my protagonist made? Where does the story lose momentum? What am I trying to move towards? Your story already knows where it's going. You just have to learn to see it. And once you see it, you can move forward with intention. Hey, if you're new here and looking for tips on writing, creating a sustainable writing routine, and just wanting to talk all things writing, then I'm so glad we found each other. This is part four of Plotting from the Middle, where we are exploring finishing manuscripts we put away. I'll be here every Tuesday with a new episode, so be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out. And if you found this episode encouraging, be sure to share it with another writer friend who is also ready to finish their manuscript. Until next time, happy writing, my friends. Again, my name is Portia Lee Vett, and this is Habits of a Writer.